So I was kind of looking through your Twitter feed, and you had some strong comments. This is sort of breaking. This was all breaking news this weekend with the escape of Morgan Geyser, obviously Slender Man case, now arrested, thankfully.
Yes.
You actually raised some interesting points about the communication piece from the states. I assume Department of Corrections, the governor's office. Yeah. Make that case.
Well, it's just frustrating, the delay. I mean, if you look at the timeline, the lack of communication, if it's not for a fellow resident in that group home, she may still be at large. And if they didn't run out of money, they still may be running. So, I mean, the fact that it was, I think, 12 hours before there was finally some kind of communication to Madison Police Department, and that prompted a whole series of things. Boy, this is where the buck stops at the governor's office, and I understand there's differences between departments and secretaries and all of those things, but it's the governor's job to kind of hold all this together and pull it together, and to me, it's just embarrassing.
Department of Corrections, overall, satisfied, not satisfied with the work that's being done?
Well, it's hard to be satisfied. I mean, from a macro level, it's been 50 years we've been talking about reforming DOC and building new prisons, and nobody can agree on anything. I mean, this is where a lack of leadership, especially since Tommy Thompson, on this issue has been utterly missing. So I think I would give them on a grade scale probably a D-.
On that issue, leadership's important. You and I agree on this tremendously. I did it at a local level. You did it. You're doing it at a local level today. But a big piece of that is communication. And almost always, the problems you get into are lack of communication, or to borrow a movie phrase, failure to communicate. That's a big thing. And I don't understand why, given all the tools we have, that this continues to be a problem.
Well, it's almost impossible to over-communicate, right? I mean, like, I think that is the hardest thing, is you think you've communicated something and there's someone that gets left out. So I do think as an executive, and this is the importance in this primary race in particular, having the experience of being in the trenches and going through difficulties, whether it was the floods back in August, whether it was COVID at the beginning of my tenure, when you're in those moments and in that real time, even when you have department heads, or in this case, secretaries, who disagree with one another, you have to force them to have communication, and you yourself be communicating not just internally, but then also externally with constituents. And you're not talking in an echo chamber. It's not just a bunch of Republicans or neighbors that you're talking to. You're trying to talk across and past the organization. That's a real challenge, and you need somebody who's got the experience to do it.
You crossed paths with the Mayor Milwaukee Cavalier Johnson as you came in.
We shook hands.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Yes.
That's an important sort of, I think people look at that and say, okay, respectfully, you can disagree on things, but still can communicate and respect each other's jobs and positions. He was very vocal, very not disgusted, that's my word, with the actions to override his vetoes, which are essentially going to raise taxes for the residents, taxpayers of Milwaukee. You just went through your budget process.
Yeah.
How did you do? What were the challenges for Washington County?
The mayor and I disagree on a lot of things, and I don't think that's any secret, but I'm with him on his frustration here, not only in the situation that got them into this place where, the funding coming from the state, or not coming from the state, better said, has put all local municipalities and counties into a box. But then on top of it, these veto overrides that he just had, I mean, not only is that, I imagine, frustrating for him putting all the time in building that budget, but maybe more importantly than that, what it's going to set up for failure for next year.
For listeners, because they don't often understand the implications of what you do the year before for next year's budget.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like being at home, right? You have expenses that you plan for, and you have a salary that you anticipate getting. And if you all of a sudden take on a bunch of new expenses that in the next several years are going to grow and grow and grow and grow, and you have to all of a sudden bank on a 10 or 20% increase in your salary to be able to pay for them next year, you got to start thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And I'm sure that's, it's probably pretty raw and fresh for the mayor, and you can't blame him. But listen, I mean, this is one area where I think there can be some agreement, even in people who often disagree, like the mayor and I. There needs to be reform in how funding between the state and the locals work. And shared revenue was a nice step in the right direction, but it was a step. We need one giant leap for mankind, and one that is focused on people. This can't be about local institutions or the dislike between elected officials, and certainly not parties. It's got to be about the people. They're hurting right now. Affordability is the top issue. Everybody's been talking about it. I could have told you 4 months ago on my first tour around the state that was going to be at the top of the list. We need to work together to solve it and do something innovative and reform-oriented that's going to save people money and help municipalities and counties to balance budgets.